I wanted to make this video because right now, Beeper is getting a ton of attention. Beeper is a company. They, for a while, have had an app that you can install on Android that allows you to send iMessages, which means you can now communicate with your iPhone friends. And yes, you will be a blue bubble, whatever. There are a lot of benefits that come along with that. And for a while, Beeper Cloud, or whatever the original product was called, seemed to be operational with some concerns. And those concerns were, the fact that you had to give Beeper your Apple ID. And, they claimed that there weren't any issues. But still, a lot of people, myself included, didn't really want to go that route because I didn't want to have to give over my Apple ID to a third-party company. Understandable. Beeper Mini comes out, and now instead of having to give your Apple ID, which again, you could if you want to, but Beeper Mini allowed you to just use your telephone number, your cell phone number. So now, yes, you are truly sending iMessages with a registered phone number, which is your current phone number. And yeah, it does, some tricky stuff on the back end, not nefarious stuff, but it has to make your phone appear as if it's an iPhone. So yeah, it does some stuff. A smart kid figures some stuff out. Beeper either bought his work or hired him or something, but got it working. I used it for a couple days, but unfortunately, Apple killed it. And here we have John Prosser, who his YouTube page is Front Page Tech. And I'll say this, I can have a completely objective opinion about it and not feel any particular way about him as an individual or really as a YouTuber, because I'm going to continue watching his videos because he's hilarious. But I find myself more and more disagreeing with his perspective on tech. Don't know anything about his personal life, and don't want to. So yeah, when it comes to tech, I'll either hear him say some things on some of his videos, or in this case, it's a tweet or X or excrement or whatever you want to call them. So let's just read it real fast. The argument, if you want Google services by Pixel, isn't the gotcha you think it is. iMessage was always part of Apple's vertical business model. Google's business model is horizontal by design. Their services are a vehicle for ads, and Google needs them to be cross-platform. Their services are the product. iPhone is the product. iMessage is a feature, not a right. Cool. Now, yes, what he's saying is true. Yeah, Google relies on ad revenue. Yeah, they do sell some hardware. They do sell some software. But yeah, Google is an ads business. And yeah, it makes the most sense for them to be on as many devices as possible. So that way they have a wider area to be able to generate that revenue from those ads. Cool. Would it be possible for Google to find a way to lock things down and still remain close to as profitable as they are? Probably, because at this point, Google pretty much controls how we all interface with the internet. So if they wanted to, I'm sure they could. And even on, your iPhone, it would somehow lead to a degraded experience unless you started either paying Google more money as an iPhone user, or in the case of the argument I'm sure somebody else must have posed, buy a Pixel, and then, now it's included in the, they could. There are very smart people out there, just like the kid who reversed engineered iMessage to get it working on Android. But no, like right now, they are just saying, yeah, we want as much money as possible. We want to make it as easy as possible for the user to use our services. So therefore, we will be available on pretty much all platforms. Cool. Now, when it comes to iMessage always being a part of Apple's vertical business model, that's technically a true statement, but also the emails show from Apple executives that at one point in time, at least one, if not multiple, but at least one of the executives considered whether or not Apple should make an Android iMessage app. And the other executive said, well, that will give parents one less reason to buy their kids an iPhone. So yeah, yes, technically, yeah, it is. And from that point forward, yeah, I don't know if anybody ever revisited that particular topic, but yeah, it is definitely ingrained in Apple's products. But the last paragraph should I call that a stanza? iPhone is the product? Yeah, it is. And without it, Apple would fail. Without the iPhone, Apple would fail. iMessage is a feature, not a right. Okay, get off your high horse. Nobody thinks it's a right. We want things to be open, yes, or we want comparable alternatives. Or you know what? I said all that. We just want things to seamlessly work well between Apple products and Android devices. That's it. That's all we want. And we'll go to the next little slide here. And yeah, Beeper Mini is back in operation after Apple's attempt to shut it down. And of course, John says, relentlessly hacking Apple while everyone cheers them on. Cringe. How is it cringe? How is it cringe? And even though I don't routinely use Twitter or X, but it looks like one of the features now you can that is there is people can add additional stuff, I guess, to essentially fact check. Considering what we had over the last couple of years, being able to post stuff to fact check what is being said. Here is something that I assume is correct. I did not click on the link to Cornell Law right there. But according to Section 103 of the Digital Millennium Copyright Act, a person in legal possession of a program may reverse engineer and circumvent its protection if it is necessary to achieve interoperability. Now, if I go to that link, I'd like to see if interoperability is also in quotes, but that's interesting that it is. But that's exactly what Beeper Mini is doing. It's allowing for interoperability. Yes, at this exact moment, if I pulled out my Pixel or my Zenfone 9 that I have right here, I can send a text message to an iPhone. I can send a picture to an iPhone. I can send a video to an iPhone. But we all know that experience, with the exception of text, no, even including text, all that entire experience is degraded. All this kid and this company did was reverse engineer one of Apple's products and allowed interoperability, or I should say improved interoperability. Now, to go to the last slide here, which is really just somebody replying, and Eric, insert that guy's last name, I believe, owns Beeper, I think. Hopefully I'll put up on the screen as to who he is exactly, but I'm pretty sure he owns the company. But in response to what John's last thing is at the bottom, iMessage is a feature, not a right. And of course, John's actual tweet was, if you want iMessage, buy an iPhone, right there at the top. Eric is making it clear. He's like, hey, I don't want iMessage. I just don't. I want to be able to securely communicate with iPhone friends through their default chat app. And there's one thing in particular that was super important. Their default chat app. So we're saying, for those of us who prefer Android, we're like, we don't want you iPhone users to have to download anything else. We don't want Apple to even really have to create anything else. Yes, it'd be nice if they did. It'd be nice if they implemented RCS in a manner that's conducive to what would make sense in a smartphone in 2023 or 2024. But no, he's just saying what we all have said is, look, we know you guys love your iPhones. We know you guys don't see what the actual problem is because you believe we are the problem because we don't have the same phone you have. But all we want to do is to be able to communicate with you in a way that makes sense and in a manner that allows you to continue using your default chat app. I'll change mine if it means I can communicate with you in a manner that makes sense. I will pay for Beeper Mini. I would pay for an iMessage app. I'll continue using Google Messages. You know, if I go back to Android as my primary device, if Beeper Mini actually comes up, or whenever the iPhone implements RCS. But yeah, he has made it clear, and a lot of us have made it clear too, that we don't want iMessage. We just want to be able to communicate with you. And yes, you're going to say, well, there's WhatsApp, there's Facebook Messenger, there's Telegram, there's, Instagram, there are a bunch of third-party apps. And even though, you probably have some of those on your phone, I don't want to inconvenience you by making you have to message me all the time in that other app when you are messaging the majority of your friends through your default chat app. And that's it. That is all we want. So for people like John, who should understand what the actual issue is, to be so narrow-minded in thinking that, oh, what I have is what you want. Like, no, No, because right now we both can communicate with people on the same platform in a manner that, again, makes sense for what should be allowed in 2023. But Google, with the GSM, have gone ahead and more thoroughly developed RCS, and Google wants Apple to adopt it. And it looks like next year Apple will adopt it, even though I'm sure they could just flip a switch right now. But they'll probably adopt it with the iOS 18 and the new iPhone. But yeah, I think when you have people like this who are YouTube tech reporters, I guess is an appropriate way to put them or call them, he should know that even if he doesn't care that much, because it looks like maybe the majority of the people he talks to have iPhones. Heck, the majority of people I talk to have iPhones. But I would usually be the odd one out because I don't like using it. So now it's exactly as what Eric is saying here. We don't want iMessage. We just want to be able to communicate with you securely if you have an iPhone while you continue using your default app. So yeah, like I said, I'm going to continue watching this stuff because he's funny. But yeah, he says things and I'm just like, I could see why the CEO of that company would say it. Or I could see why somebody who maybe has a bunch of stock in the company, and maybe he does. But from a person who appears to just enjoy the tech, he has an opinion, but I don't want to say it's wrong because I would never want to say somebody's opinion. Well, no, sometimes people's opinions are wrong. But I think his view is skewed. Yes. If you want iMessage, buy an iPhone. Correct. iMessage is a feature, not a right. Correct. But what he's missing is that we don't want it. We just want to be able to securely communicate with you while you continue using your iMessage app.